The DNC temporarily floated the possibility of banning dark money donations during primary cycles. And obviously, a lot of dark money spending was weaponized against lefty candidates who were trying to primary out centrists in this last cycle. Nina Turner was featured in a Common Dreams article. She had a lot of negative things to say about the DNC scrapping this rule. She is a DNC member. She obviously had a lot of dark money spent on behalf of Shontel Brown in order to crush her primary candidacy, both in the 2021 race and her most recent failed 2022 campaign. And turns out the DNC basically drowned that resolution in the bathtub. The resolution committee decided not to even bring it to a vote. Well, it was shocking to me that this was ever even on the table. I guess some progressives floated it in the hopes that they would at least get a vote on it. I would have bet my life that the DNC would never, ever ban dark money. Why? Well, here's a chart. In case you guys think, well, this is a situation where, yeah, Democrats are bad, but Republicans are worse. No. Here's the chart. In 2020, dark money spending. The blue is the Democrats, obviously. The red is the GOP. Democrats more than doubled Republicans in terms of dark money contributions to liberal groups and obviously FEC spending reported by liberal dark money groups. And so the Democrats actually dwarf the GOP in terms of dark money donations, which is not a surprise to me and really should not be a surprise to you. That the sort of dark money phenomenon is very much a blue team thing. And the reason for that is, of course, because the Democratic Party is itself a contradiction. It is an ostensibly left-wing Wall Street party. As Megan Day, the great writer, once said on this show, she put it perfectly. She said, the Democrats are a party of insurance companies and of people whose claims are denied by insurance companies. And so it makes perfect sense when you look at it that way, why there would be all of this anonymous money flooding Democratic primaries.
Another reason a lot of these Democratic donors probably want to do it through dark money is, if the Republicans win, they might need favors. Why advertise that they donated to the Democrats?
I think there might be something to that, depending on the instance. But I think most of it is like, yeah, they want to project a commitment to certain ideals that they don't actually have, right? That they don't actually believe in at the end of the day. And if that's how you function, if that's how, if you have the Black Lives Matter lawn sign on your yard, but you're donating to a corporate Democrat over a Nina Turner type, it makes total sense that you wouldn't want your friends to know about it. You wouldn't necessarily want your family to know about it, or your colleagues or your peers, right? I mean, why would you want that information out there? And so it makes perfect sense. Whereas the GOP is pretty open about what they feel and how they think, things ought to work. There's not really much to hide there. There's not much hiding the ball there. And so it makes sense I'll put this graphic up one more time. It makes sense that these sort of coward anonymous donors are flooding the Democratic Party and not the GOP. And by the way, this resolution was only on the table for Democratic primaries. So in other words, the DNC was never saying we're not going to take dark money for the general election. Exactly, right.
No. It is surprising that it even got proposed, but look, we've seen this movie with the Democrats before. Every now and then you get someone with a conscience breaks up the meeting with this kind of a proposal, and it never goes anywhere. They want a virtue signal that they're fundamentally on the side of the angels on these issues. They won't even pass a bill stopping insider trading in Congress. They won't even do that. So they're going to do this. They're making a lot of money off of the system the way that it is. Once in a while, they'll throw some crumbs out there to their voters, like the college forgiveness. And that's it. And it's constantly putting their voters in a position where they feel like they have to vote for them because at least they get some of the crumbs that fall off the table. But the whole political system is deeply corrupt. You have one faction that I think, honestly, they're just a little more conscious of the fact that if you push people far enough, they're going to come for you with the pitchfork. So you gotta just release just enough of the pressure that they don't try to upend the whole system. Whereas the Republicans seem to feel like, yeah, no, as long as you keep the cultural appeals going, you can just make people's lives as shitty as you want, and they're never going to come for you. They could be right. If your cultural appeal is strong enough, it's been working for them so far.
Yeah, well, this will certainly be a good test of that theory. We're going to play this interview with James Zogby, who is a progressive DNC member, talking about the DNC spiking this resolution. This is on the Status Coup channel, which, by the way, I recommend everybody subscribe to them. They have been doing some really great work. Jordan Sheridan has always done good work, but they've been doing some really good work lately. So here's a clip of an interview that he gave to them.
So what is happening? They had a chance to pass a resolution, I believe, that was introduced by the Nevada State Chair, Judith Whitmer, that would basically ban dark money in Democratic primaries. What happened?
Judith and I wrote it. We got 35 or 6 co-sponsors among DNC members. It's a pretty healthy amount. We presented it today, and no one put it on the floor for a vote. The chair said, anybody want to put this on the floor for a vote? And there was dead silence in the room. It was absolutely stunning. And so the resolution was never even considered. I know how that works. I was chair of the Resolutions Committee for a decade. I was a member of the Resolutions Committee for 20 years. It means that staff whipped the members and said, don't you dare. I remember I was a member of the Resolutions Committee in February 2003 and introduced a resolution saying we should not support the Iraq War because we don't know the cost, consequences, or terms of engagement, and we've not been told the truth. We can't send young men and women into a war that we don't understand. And same thing happened. I was allowed to present it, to speak on its behalf. I even got a standing ovation for my speech, and then there was dead silence in the room. No one dared violate what the staff whips. I mean, they brought out all the heavy guns to intimidate people. What struck me was I've been a member of the DNC for 30 years. I went up to folks afterwards who I've known. I mean, they've served on the committee with me, and I said, why did this happen? They wouldn't look me in the eye.
I mean, it's pretty astounding that he's been in the DNC for 30 years and he's still surprised. He's still shocked that this resolution did not even make it to a vote. I mean, he talked about February of 2003. I spoke out against the Iraq War, but we would not vote on it. Right. Mm-hmm. And now, 20 years after that, 19 years after that, he's still shocked. He's still shocked that they're not bringing this thing to a vote. I mean, are you kidding me? Are you joking? He then put out a tweet here because he got a lot of pushback for that interview clip and some of the statements that he's put out since of people saying, why are you still a member of the DNC, right? Why don't you quit? Why don't you help us build some alternative to this Democratic Party if you've been in here so long and there's clearly not really any progress being made? This is what he tweets out in response. He needs
the health insurance.
Exactly, yeah. For those asking why stay in the Democratic Party, I don't believe in surrendering to those who think they own it. After Bernie, the number of progressives in our ranks, blah, 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 have grown and we're making waves. Yeah, right. Okay. The GOP is a danger to democracy, right? And so reforming Dems is a fight that's worth it. The word I zeroed in on here is surrendering to those who think they own it. We can't surrender it to the corporatists who think they own it. Well, why not? It's not the Ring of Mordor. Right? It's not the one and only path to power. We must have the Democratic Party in order to do anything good in the world. It's not this precious thing, right? Exactly. Who cares? They want it, let them have it at this point. That's what I say, because you've been there for 30 years. You just said in the clip we just saw, you've been there for 30 years, and they're still pulling the exact same shit that they pulled 30 years ago. At a certain point, the joke is on you. The joke is
Sure.
on you. I mean, there's really no other way to look at it, in my view.
Well, we've gotten overall the response has been very positive, but the video we did with Durga of Adventures in the Free World about AOC's GQ shoot, there's been a little pushback on the fact that Durga was a little more extreme than we were in our characterization of AOC's inner life. But we all agreed that she's useless. And there was a little pushback on this, talking about how the DSA and Astoria is really building a bench and going for local offices. And okay, all right. And what's that getting us exactly? Because in the end, AOC, and that was really the point of the video, she decided not to be the person who introduced herself to Congress by doing a sit-in in Pelosi's office before she was even sworn in, I believe. And she decided to be the person who goes along to get along. So of what use are these people to us? There are more progressives. Okay, so what? You got a bunch. You got more losers. You got more people to get their lunch money stolen by Pelosi and Schumer to get wedgies in the locker room. You got more of the put upon, ignored losers sitting on the side bench and never getting the ball. So what does that do? Like, why is that supposed to be exciting to us? I've said before, I do believe that if you play it out along a long enough timeline, yeah, if you do what the Goldwater Republicans did, and they spent 20 years starting at the local level. Yeah, sure. We don't have 20 years. In 20 years, you're going to be sharing your living room with a polar bear.
Please clap.